Let's take a deep dive now and a hard look at really what makes the 7 the most powerful number in the game. So as I study this, I realize that it's more than just the math of it. Now the math is pretty compelling, okay? You've got 2 die that you can roll, obviously, and from those 2 die, 36 possible combinations of numbers, 6 of which add to 7. Let's actually pull this out and take a look at them. You've got the 1 and the 6, the 2 and the 5, the 3 and the 4, 4, 3, 5, 2, and 6, 1. There's your 6 combinations, and it's 6 out of 36. 1 out of 6, which is the reason why we say that the 6 comes on average once every 6 rolls. This is interesting in and of itself, right? There are 6 combinations, but let's take a look at a die and really lean into what this actually looks like. So on a die, it has 6 faces numbered 1 through 6, all of which are covered here. The opposite side of each die, the 6, the opposite side is a 1. They add to 7 all the time. The 5's opposite is a 2, which of course adds to 7. The 4's opposite is 3, which also adds to 7. So the sister numbers on every single die add to 7. There are 6 faces on a die, and all 6 faces are represented here in the column of 6 possible combinations. Now, that's the only number in the game that you can say that about. For example, the 4 can be rolled 3 ways: a 1 and a 3, 2 2s, or a 3 and a 1. And if you think about the way that dice roll, they don't just roll off the wall and stick most of the time, right? One's going to land first, the other one's going to land after it. Now, in the case of the 4, let's assume that the die rolls, the first die lands on a 6. Well, once that happens, there's no way to finish it and get a 4. If that first die is a 5, there's no way to finish it and get a 4. In fact, if it's a 4, there's no way to finish it and get a 4, right? The die cuts you off with these smaller numbers. The 5 has 4 ways to roll. If you start out with a 5, there's no way to get a 5 with the second die. Same with the 6, okay? And that continues down the line here. The 7 is different. Every single number that comes up on that first die, you can be guaranteed that the next die as it lands is going to have the match for it. Okay, you're always, when the first die stops moving, halfway to a 7. You're halfway to getting your clock cleaned, to losing your money, to whatever you want to call it. But this system over here, these dies that are glued together, there's always a match. The 4, you can be guaranteed there's a 3 on the other die that hasn't landed yet. This is the power of the 7. It's not the fact that there are 6 ways to get there. The power of it is that you're always halfway to it. No matter what the first die that stops is, you're always just a turn of a die away from that thing matching up and getting you. And that's the power of it. So remember that. It's not the number 6 combinations. It is the fact that as a die stops, there's a 100% chance that the next die has the number you don't want to see match up to it. So therein lies the power of it. Now, that said, right, there are ways that we can mitigate this or embrace it, as it were. I want to look at now things we can do to sort of harness some of that power and even control it a little bit. And we can do that a number of ways. One is through some tactical and creative betting. I think is one way. You can bet with the 7 on the 7. You can use the 7 to help you in other strategies. We're going to look at some of that now. You can also roll the dice a little bit differently. That'll help stave the 7 off. Now, I'm not talking here about classic dice control, but I am talking about a controlled shot that will help us stave this off. So more on that later. What I'm going to do here is we're going to clear the deck here of the dice, and let's take a look at some betting strategies that I think can help us understand how the 7 works live in a game and ways that you can move your money around in ways that you can use the 7 to your advantage. Without getting into a full tutorial of the game of craps or getting deep into strategy building, I do want to talk a little bit about the bets on the board that use or can leverage the 7 as we go here. So let's take a look first at the pass and don't pass. So the easiest bet you can make, obviously, is the pass line. So when you go in the pass line, you're basically saying, I bet that a person's going to roll one of these 6 numbers and then roll it again before they get the 7, right? That's a pretty tall order. And so because it's a tall order and a tough ask, the casino will let you win on the 7 on this bet while the puck is off. Before somebody establishes a number, This is a winner on the 7, okay? The opposite bet of that, the don't pass, says, I believe that somebody's going to roll a number and then roll a 7 before that. That's actually a better bet. That's more likely to happen that they roll a 7 because, as you saw, 6 ways to roll that 7 versus 3, 4, or 5 ways to roll the other number. So that's a good bet. And the price you pay for getting that bet is that the 7 is a loser while the puck is off. So until a number is established, the casino will take that bet on a 7. So these two work in opposite. You get paid on the 7 when the puck is off. You lose on the 7 when the puck is off on the don't pass. And then once a point is established, now it's game on. Okay, and if you're a don't pass bettor and you have survived that, right, where the person did not shoot a 7, now they're on a number, let's say it's a 4, okay? And as our favorite example, the 4, as we know, has 3 ways to lose, or 3 ways to roll, and your 7 has 6 ways to roll, right? So you look at the number, I'll do them in white chips here, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 ways to win on your don't pass bet, and 3 ways to lose when the 4 rolls. So here, the danger when you're on the don't pass is the point that's been established. Your danger number in this case is a 4 instead of a 7. So that's why if you're gonna bet, quote unquote, with the 7, start with the don't pass and perhaps even back it up with a don't come. So the don't come bet is happening during the roll. They've already established a point. You can put money in here, and again, while you're in here, the 7 is your enemy. A 7 will take this bet because it acts like the don't pass, just that it's happening during the roll when the puck is on. But if you survive that and you get to a number, now you win in 2 ways. When the 7 rolls, you win when the 7 rolls before a 4 or a 5, and the 5 has 4 ways to roll. So you've got an advantage still over each bet, but not an advantage over both bets. Now you've got 7 bets, 7 ways that you could lose these numbers here. So the don't pass is a way to go where you're kind of betting on the 7, and you can lay odds and we can get more money out there. We'll talk about that in different videos, but that's one way to get it done. The pass line, as we talked about, is a way that you're saying, you know, I'm pretty sure that this person's going to roll a number and then roll it again. Well, as the don't pass and don't come work together, so do the pass and the come. So let's say that you're on the pass line and you're a right side bettor. You might want to bet in the come. And let's say, again, we had the 4 as an established point. Well, now you're saying, well, I'm going to win this bet if the 4 rolls before the 7. When you put a chip into the come, what you're now saying is, I'm going to try that again. And the casino makes the same deal with you. While you're in here waiting for a number to go, the 7 will pay you. So on this situation right here, if the 7 comes right now, this bet wins a quarter, this bet loses a quarter, it's a wash until this bet goes to a number. And now you have 2 numbers working for you. So now you're saying if either the 4 or the 5 comes before the 7, one of these 2 bets will win. The 7, of course, takes both of them. So while you're in the come, just like while you're on the pass line, the 7 is kind of your friend. So that's the kind of the come out series. You can also use the 7 to your advantage in gameplay. So let's assume that we have the puck off and we're going to go semi-dark side. Okay, what I want to do here as a player is, here's my desired strategy. Let's play the iron cross, which is getting the 5, the 6, and the 8. And we'll get the 6 and the 8 for 30, and we'll put 15 into the field. Now, in this case, this simple strategy covers every number but the 7. You're going to get paid on the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, not the 7, the 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So this is you're getting paid on every number. The problem with this is that, again, the 7 is pretty powerful, as you saw before. If the 7 rolls here, you get wiped for $100. This is a $100 outlay here. What you could have done is preface this with a don't pass bet of 100. Let's clear the board. Let's say that we have a don't pass bet of 100. We establish a point of 4. Now we come out and say, let's get the iron cross going. So we've got $100 out there on the don't, $100 out there in play. Now if the 7 comes, we're okay. It's a complete wash. We would lose 100, we'd win 100. It's a no-sum game. This is powerful in the long run, for a longer run. If the shooter rolls 4, 5, 6, 7 shots before they roll the 7, you can press and collect, employ whatever strategy you want to pull money off the table with these bets, but you can stack your rack pretty good having some protection here. And what we've done in this case is shifted the danger from the 7 to the 4. Now you've got really 4 ways to lose, okay? Instead of the 7 beating you, the 4 beats you because the 4 takes your $100. That's the danger zone here, okay? So one way to do this, use the 7 to fund a long-term growth strategy. And again, it's a hedge. So you're not gonna win a lot because if the 7 comes on the 3rd roll, you win like $8 and it takes a long time to build bankroll this way, but it is a safety net in this respect, okay? Another way that we can use the 7 to protect ourselves is to, let's say we bypass the come out roll. And you can use the 7 to fund kind of a larger strategy. And let's do something like aggressive. Let's go with, again, we'll say the points 4. We bypass the come out roll and we're gonna go with kind of a $50 on every number situation. We'll get to the 9 here and we'll get, here, so we have 66 and 8, 50 on the 4, 5, and 9, that's 290 in action. That's a big layout, right? If the 7 comes here, you get whacked pretty hard. And maybe the strategy here is designed to be a regression strategy. Maybe in this case, what you really want to do is get one hit on one number, okay? The 5, 6, 8, and 9 will pay you $70 in this situation. The 4 pays you about 100, which is great because you can take that win, pull all your money down, and then use those winnings to fund a smaller growth strategy, which is great. But you're at risk for 290 for that short period of time, waiting for that hit. So what you can do is actually put a lay bet out there, and we can lay against a number. Now I left the 10 open for a reason. I'm gonna lay $600 on the 10. And again, not Bob, we're gonna lay it. This has us now at 590 in action. But what's our danger? Let's think about that. We have 290 out here, looking for one hit on a box number. I've got a $600 lay bet. And because the 10 can only be rolled 3 times, or 3 ways, the 7 can be rolled 6 ways. It's a 2-to-1 advantage. So the lay bet actually pays half. So out of 600, you're gonna win 300 minus a small commission, okay? In this case, this bet protects these bets while you're waiting for some number to hit, so you can pull that down and then bet your smaller strategy. So in this case, let's say that we were to roll a 6, okay? The 6 pays 70, you take every bet down, like so, including your lay bet, and now you've got $70 to bet with. So in this case, you have risked about $15 to win 70 so that you can now bet a smaller strategy that's aimed for growth. So again, using the 7 as either a straight up bet, you know, for the win, you're gonna bet the don't and shoot for the 7 the whole time. You can use the 7 in the don't along with a strategy in the long term as a safety net. You can use the 7 in the short term on a bigger outlay to fund a regression so you can bet something different. So those are some creative ways to use the 7. And of course, your standard pass line, don't pass line, come and don't come are ways you can use the 7 just kind of in the course of play. There's also the any 7 bet and the hop 7 bets. Those bets are used largely either as a hedge on the come out. Now, if you're a don't pass better, as we know, you're gonna lose this $25 in the case of the 7 rolling on the come out when the puck is off. So you could use the any 7 or the hop 7, and let's say you put 10 on the any 7, in this case here, $10 there. That pays 4-to-1, so this would win you 40 in case the 7 rolls. You'd lose 25, you'd win 40, be a little bit ahead. Folks will use this bet to protect this bet as a hedge sometimes. Now, if you do that, that's fine, but remember that if you lose this any 7, or if you've hopped it, which pays a slightly different amount, if you lose this bet, this is no longer a $25 bet. Do the math. You've lost 10. This is now a $15 bet, not a $25 bet. So hedging can protect this money by betting out here or by betting on a hop bet. But again, if you do that, it's a 1-roll bet. This goes away immediately if a number that's not a 7 is rolled, in this case, a 6. That reduces the power of what you have here. So remember that if you lose that on the hop or on the any 7, the effectiveness of your don't pass bet has lessened. So just keep that math in mind as you go. So that's an overview of some ways to use the 7. Again, this is not a strategy video. We're just giving you some ideas. Plenty of strategy videos out there. We've got some, there's probably 1,000 of them that show you how to use the 7 in better ways than even that, but just want to give you a flavor of that. So the next thing I want to talk about then is rolling the dice. So let's again, we'll clear the board here and we'll look at ways to make some controlled shots that I believe can really stave the 7 off in a really tactical way. So let's go ahead and switch the camera angle a little bit and talk about ways we can roll that'll help us mitigate some of the 7. Before we can have any meaningful conversation about controlled shooting, we need to make sure that we revisit the problem that we face, okay? We talked about this earlier. The 7, right, when the first die lands, the second die we know has its mate. Every single time, there's 100% chance that once die number 1 stops moving, die number 2 can match it and produce the number we don't want. If this die lands on a 6, this die for sure has a 1. There's never a chance that the second die does not have the partner for the first die. That's the battle we face with the 7. Okay, you're 50% of the way to getting a 7 as soon as the first die stops. Every single roll, you're always at risk. Now, how do we stop that? 2 ways. I think the first thing we got to look at is energy transfer. And I think if you look at this as having a 6, and the casino needs a 1 to make a 7 here. When that die comes off the back wall, and it depends on how hard that's a big roll, how hard it comes off the back roll. Okay, we know the 1 is on here. If it rolls off that back wall and the 1 shows as the die is coming to rest, 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 times. That last one I rolled probably was on there 4 or 5 times. Every time that it shows on the top of the die as that second die is coming to rest is a chance that it could stop. As the dice are rolling off the back wall, they lose energy the whole time. At some point, there's going to be so little energy that the die is just going to stop and whatever face happens to be up. If the face, in this case the 1, is on top 3, 4, 5 times as that die comes to stop, that's 3, 4, or 5 times that it could have as little energy to stop and become the one that wipes us out. I would put out there, and I think science puts out there, that if we can have this thing roll off the back wall only a maximum of 1 time, which means, yes, that face still may show up and it still may land and get us, right? But if it rolls a maximum of once, likely less than 1, your chances of it being the one on top when the die comes to rest is a max of 1 out of 4, versus all those times that it's rolling. Picture yourself at a birthday party and you've got a piñata and a bat. I think you'd rather have 5 swings at it than 1. And I can guarantee the casino wants 5 swings at it instead of 1 swing at it. That's why they love randomness. It's the reason for the super bouncy tables, right? This closed cell foam, right, wasn't invented because it sounds nice. It was invented because it makes the die roll more often, increasing the chance that that match shows up. The alligator skin is introduced to create randomness. They're not worried about people sharpshooting. There's like 7 people in the world that can sharpshoot, right? There's 7,000 that claim they can. There's like 7 that can actually do it. Casino doesn't care about that. They want to guarantee randomness. They want bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. They want lots of energy off the wall. They want more side and overspin because they want to increase the likelihood that the match shows up at some point during the come to rest period of the die. That's what all this is for. And frankly, I'm all about let's stop the random. If we can take the random out of it as much as we can, we stand a better chance to maybe not land on it, right? I'm just trying to reduce all the factors. So factor 1 is amount of bounce off the table. If factor 2 is the amount of energy off the back wall. If factor 3 is landmines, right? You've got chips out here. Now people will tell you that you're full of baloney if you say the chips cause the 7. Well, I don't think chips cause the 7, but I think that when a die hits a chip, normally the die hits the table and the table absorbs some of the energy and makes the dice slow down. When a die hits a chip, it bounces worse. I think chips actually impart energy on the dice and increase their speed. That's what makes them dangerous, not the fact that they're going to ruin your perfect throw, right? The chips are dangerous because they make the die bounce in very unexpected ways. They introduce more randomness. The chips are like a second level of foam or a second level of Diamondback as far as I'm concerned. And the guy that reaches over with the late field bet, when the die goes off of his arm and into the wall, more randomness, more randomness. The casinos love that kind of stuff. So what I would say to us is this: let's do all we can to reduce the amount of inherent randomness with the way we throw the dice, okay? Let's avoid the chips. Let's avoid the douchebags with their arms out there. Let's control the amount of energy into the back wall so when they come off the wall, right, you get a little tiny bit of roll, but not a whole lot of roll. We want to reduce that energy so they land softly and don't just skitter all over the damn place. That's the idea here, right? So a controlled shot to me is not, getting, the perfect, whatever, the perfect set. We're going to get the hard way set and we're going to do this perfect grip and great throw. That's not what it's about. Okay, for some people, and I do practice that's an important piece of it, but the most important piece is energy. Throw these die in a way that when they hit the back wall, they hit it and they stop, right? Use the diamonds to provide down force, not side force. Use the bottom of the wall to make it a place where the dice can hit and drop dead right where they sit. If we just throw softer with less velocity, less height, and we find a good consistent landing spot, we're going to reduce a lot of the random just because of that. Okay, and again, I'm not talking about setting and gripping and back spinning. I'm just talking about literally taking the die and letting them go and not bouncing like crazy. If we can achieve that alone as a group, right? Craps is a team sport. If we can achieve just that, we're going to be in great shape, right? If you can hunt down the shooters that throw like this, that are throwing super soft, right? You find those people and bet on them, right? Avoid the people who are trying to be extra random, right? You know what I'm talking about. The person who's, doing this and rubbing the table and getting us and kissing them and winging them like that. That to me is the most dangerous throw possible, and I'm pulling my bets. Beware of that, okay? So what I want to do here is now switch. I'm going to turn the other camera on, and I'll throw a few shots. And again, not trying to sharpshoot. I just want to show you the way that you can release the die and just have a nice controlled little shot that hits the back wall, lands gently, reduces the overspin, because the overspin, I think, is the physics behind the 7. If we can reduce the overspin, we can reduce the 7. And frankly, I'm not trying to make the 7 go away, but I will tell you this, the 7 rolls, as we know, 6 out of 36 times on average. If you can, through a simple controlled shot like this, reduce that to 6 out of 37 or 6 out of 38. I'm not talking about being, perfection. I'm talking about somewhat control. Just stave it off a little bit. To go from 6 out of 36 to 6 out of 38 reduces the entire house edge on the 6 and the 8. It goes to almost 0 just by doing that. Not anything else, okay? And again, I'm not telling you to go sign up for classes or anything or nothing like that. I'm telling you to just literally treat these dice like your kids. Nice soft throw, nice soft landing. Let's reduce the amount of random where we can. They're going to randomize. Let's not add to the random. That's our overview on controlled shooting. Again, we're going to switch to the other camera, so you can see a couple of shots from behind and over top at the same time, and we'll get a good look at what they ought to look like. And yeah, hopefully that helps out a bit. Let's do a couple shots here. I'm just going to mix them up in my hand, and hopefully you can see my action. I'm just going to go, and I'm about 6 to 7 feet away from the back wall, pretty much where the stick man, one person left of the stick man would be. I'm just going to grab them and just do a nice light release and off the back wall and not a lot of spin. And that is a legal throw. I mean, it looks like I'm not hitting the back wall, but I certainly am hitting the back wall, just lightly as I possibly can, because I don't want that heavy action. Again, nice light off the back wall. Of course, it's a 7, but you can't control the 7. What you can control is the action on that second number. Let's do another couple like that. Okay, now I'll switch and do kind of a knuckleball throw with you. That's going to look like this. I'm just going to hold them side. And again, I'm not setting them. I'm just going to hold them sideways and just kind of let them knuckleball to the wall, and they'll turn and land like this, hopefully. So let's just see how that looks. Boom. A little bit of roll there on the end, but that's okay. Let's do it again. Again, a little barrel here, just a little like that. That was actually way too much action. That one bounced really high and spun a little too much. Let's try it one more time. A little better. Do 1 or 2 more of those. Nice. Okay, and then one more, just a backhand little toss like that. So there's a good couple of examples of some simple controlled shots that are really just looking at managing the velocity and the angle of attack and where it is on the wall, and just trying, again, to make them not go crazy off the wall. I think that's a much better looking shot than when I see this. When I see somebody back here and just winging it, right? And who knows what's gonna happen? How many times did those dice turn over after the wall? I have no idea, right? That to me just, it scares me when I see that. So yeah, I think that's nuts. And you see that a lot. You see people hitting the alligator skin directly, coming down off it like that. That's just too much energy for me, right? That to me just feels like you're giving this die that kept rolling too many chances to stop on that too. Now it didn't this time, but I don't like even thinking about it. So yeah, a little bit of controlled shooting, a little bit of better velocity, tighter angle, and I think we can be in better shape. So once you practice this and get better at it, you'll start noticing. And now that you've seen this video, I hope you will notice that when you're out there betting and it's not you that's shooting, it's somebody else that's shooting, and you start seeing that, you're gonna pull back a little bit. Like that's when I'm going back to just straight up come or don't come bet. I'm gonna really pull and be much more conservative when I see that, because I know they're giving that 7 more chances. If I see somebody who's a random shooter, but they're careful and they're just dropping them in there like this, I'm all over that person. I think that might have a better potential of a long roll, and I might be more aggressive with my pressing on someone like that. So now, pay more attention to what other people are doing, who's controlling it, who's not. Random roller or self-proclaimed sharpshooter, it doesn't matter. If they're landing nicely, I'm all in. That's what I want to see. All right. Thanks for watching. I hope that gave you a good look at the 7 in terms of A, its power, B, how to bet with it and use it to our advantage, and C, how to throw dice in a slightly more controlled way to help mitigate it some. So the 7's a big story. It's not going away. We'll probably do more videos on that, as well as a bunch of strategies that help us combat it. But that's a good intro to it. I hope that helped. Please leave us a comment, question, suggestion, whatever. Like the video, and we will see you at the tables. Thanks again for watching.